Today we're going to be looking at the carbon cycle and how humans have been able to manipulate it and use it to our advantage. Please understand all the parts of the carbon cycle as well as the key vocabulary of photosynthesis, decomposition, and respiration. Let's first take a look at, just remember of what matter is, and matter can't be created and destroyed. Remember, all essential compounds for life are cycled through nature in different forms. The carbon cycle. The carbon cycle looks at how carbon is moved around the Earth. The carbon cycle is most often associated with fire. However, we'll see that that is only one small part of the carbon cycle. Steps. First, carbon is in the atmosphere as CO2. Most carbon is in the atmosphere as CO2. It is removed into a usable form by plants in a process called photosynthesis. Plants take CO2 and turn it into glucose sugar. This is called photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is where plants take in light energy from the sun, carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and water, and turn it into glucose sugar as well as oxygen. Photosynthesis. Animals eat plants and get the sugar. Organisms that are not autotrophs are considered heterotrophs and must consume producers in order to get the glucose that they need in order to survive. Both plants and animals can return it to the atmosphere as CO2. This is called respiration. Organisms then use the glucose in order to be able to move, think, and grow. A waste product of this, however, is carbon dioxide, which is put back into the atmosphere. Both animals and plants do respiration. As evidence, on a cold day when you exhale, you see your breath form in front of you. That's CO2. Plants and animals can place carbon in the ground as fuel. Happens when they die, called decomposition. When an organism dies, it still has glucose reserved in its body. Instead of returning to the atmosphere, more often than not, the organism slowly breaks down, is covered with dirt, and compressed over time. This sugar then is compressed, changed, and morphed into what we would consider fuel, coal, and oil. You can use this for energy sources. When humans burn fuel, we turn the carbon back into atmospheric CO2, combustion. Here is a model.
What flavor is this one?
Okay, the green ring in there is swamp gas. This is Lumaflame.
Oh, okay.
One such example of organic matter being compressed into fuel is that of swamp gas. Swamp gas is when organisms fall into a swamp, are compressed by sediment, and their glucose sugar is turned into fuel. It is a highly combustible gas that often can come out at lights, and when ignited can cause a massive explosion. More often, we use this fuel to power our cars and factories, and when it's combust, we get energy as well as the waste product of CO2, which goes back into the atmosphere. Here you see a diagram representing the carbon cycle. CO2 going into glucose through photosynthesis and then returning through respiration. Or sometimes it will go underground through decomposition, where it's brought back up through combustion. My question for you tonight is how have humans manipulated this system? You're familiar with the talks of climate change. Does using the carbon cycle help explain why there might be a chance of climate change, as well as why the Earth's temperature may be slowly increasing over time? I look forward to your answers tomorrow.